Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's edition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steven Ryan, presented by FanArts. The Cubs fall to the Milwaukee Brewers 3-1 in Game 5. We're going to discuss all of that. I'm going to talk about the 2025 season and how amazing it has been. I generally like to look on the positive side of things here on Cubs Daily, so let's just hop right into the negative part, all right? Cubs lose Game 5 to the Milwaukee Brewers 3-1. Not a lot of big things to really discuss here. It was a pretty straightforward baseball game, right? Yes, the Cubs had two errors. It didn't really bite them in the end. The home run ball bit them in the end to one of the worst power hitting teams in baseball. And I don't want to call the Brewers one of the that's like a statistic thing, like where they rank, et cetera, et cetera. The Brewers have players that can hit home runs, okay? William Contreras, he can go deep. Andrew Vaughn, obviously, can go deep. Bryce Terang hit 18 of them in the season. Like, it makes sense for those, who stepped in and hit home runs. The Cubs' ability to negate Christian Yelich all series was absolutely incredible. Usually he kills us, but we were able to, hold them off a little bit, and we just couldn't get the job done, plain and simple. And I think, kind of the main point of all this is, the second half, just our offense was not consistent, and there's definitely some holes we got to fill. We'll talk about Kyle Tucker more in depth as the weeks come by here, as the playoffs kind of round out. But we need more bat-to-ball skills on this team. There's no doubt about it. We can't hit the fastball worth a lick. We can't hit it if we know it's coming. And we can't even hit it if we know it has to be thrown for a strike. The only person I would confidently feel safe in that is Nico Hoerner. And give me about another half season with Michael Busch, and then I'll say him too. Like, those are the only two guys I feel confident with on this team hitting a fastball. Also, the plate discipline. Just horrendous this game. Giving away strikes. That's not the winning Cubs way. Okay? This team found a lot of great success in games 3 and 4 when they were racking up that pitch count, making them throw strikes, and then when he had to throw strikes, we cashed in. And I said in the Game 5 preview, this is what we're going to need to do if we want to have a chance to beat them. And we just straight up didn't do it. William Contreras got the party started for the Brewers in the first with a solo shot. Immediately after, Seiya answered with a solo shot, making it 1-1. A few innings passed. Not much traffic on the bases, but you kind of felt the bubble building for the Brewers. They were able to get runners in scoring position, right? They started stealing bases. They started playing their game that made them the best record in baseball. And then Andrew Vaughn got a cookie, an 88-mile-per-hour cookie, and he sent it over the wall. What are you going to do? And then that sixth inning happened, and that was really, really, really when the Cubs needed to strike, okay? Michael Busch, lefty on lefty, base hit up the middle. That's a first sign. Also, side note, I hope that BS notion of the matchup is gone next year. I want Michael Busch in every day unless you need to give him a rest. That's fine if you need to give him a rest, and if you choose against lefties, that's fine. But his lefty-on-lefty skills have developed significantly, and the only way they're going to continue to develop is if he gets the reps. Good on Michael Busch. Then Nico Hoerner gets hit by a pitch. Immediately calls it. Ashby is wild. He is rattled in this situation. And then comes Kyle Tucker. Ashby is brought in to face Busch and Tucker. And then he is down 3-1 to Tucker. And he has to come with the fastball. And Kyle Tucker missed. And honestly, that kind of feels like the season. In a nutshell, microcosm, the whole nine. Just our inability to hit the fastball. And that's kind of what the 2025 season was about. In the second half, right? These teams just blew it by us every single time. And in the end, it's just not enough. And that's okay. My expectations for this team, my goal was the NLCS. And we are one game away from it. So did we accomplish the goal I wanted? No. But there were definitely some unexpected caveats to occur. The Brewers were an unexpected caveat to occur, right? A lot of projections, which are BS in my opinion now, had them, not doing what they did. They lost Willy Adames. It doesn't matter. Because guess what? In a couple seasons or next year, they're going to bring up Jesus Mate. And I'm not gonna say they're gonna be back because they're already really good, but they're gonna keep sustaining that excellence that they have had over these last 7 seasons. We need to hit the baseball better. We need to hit the fastball better. We need to find players that fit that mold. Do we have a few? Maybe, in Casey and Kevin Alcantara and Mo Bauer? Maybe. But we need them to play. And for them to play, we need to make room. And to make room, I think, Kyle Tucker, obviously, I think he's a really good player. I understand if you don't want to extend him to a mega contract. But if he really, really wants to cash out on a mega contract, he might come back on a 1-year prove-it deal. And I'm okay with that. Sign him for 1 year, $35 million, $30 million, whatever he'll accept. And let's see if he can just come back and stay healthy for us for 1 year. And his skills don't diminish over time. But again, fatigue, wear and tear, we can discuss all that. But, the story of this, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm not feeling sorry. I'm not happy we lost to the Brewers. I don't like the Brewers. I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, so I grew up around them. I have a lot of friends and family. I have a lot of friends that are Brewer fans. So I'm happy for those specific people. They want to see a World Series ring, which is great. And again, only one team can win the World Series. And I think kind of all year long, you guys in the chat, the comment section, me here, we kind of all understood where this Cubs team ceiling was. And, maybe at best, it was the 5th best team in baseball. And that's okay. That's the way it goes sometimes. This team wasn't constructed to win the World Series. We know there are certain teams that were constructed, right? The Dodgers, they were constructed to win the World Series. The Blue Jays, they invested in their guy, Vlad Jr. They wanted to win the World Series, right? They made moves in the offseason. They went and got Santander. The Mariners, they'd been close all these past few seasons. They went out and made deals. And got them. And you guys could sit there and just be like, well, the Cubs could have did that. I don't think there was a trade out there for the Chicago Cubs to go make a deal. Maybe Eugenio Suarez? But does going to get Suarez hinder the development of Matt Shaw? Yeah, probably. We had players on this team that needed to taste the heartbreak, right? Last year, a lot of these young Brewers like Churio and Terang and Sal Frelick, they tasted the heartbreak. They did. And now they let that fuel them to the next round. Yelich and Peralta are the only 2 members of the 2018 team that faced that Dodgers team. So they have a few years of heartbreak under them. We have none. This was our first trip to the postseason, and it was a lot of fun. We went 4-1 at Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field, you were electric. This fan base, you were electric. You made it happen for this team. You willed them to a Game 5 in the NLDS. Now, I think the shift kind of turns to, hey, we need to win the division so that if the tables are turned next year and we have to face those Brewers again, Game 5's at Wrigley. Because maybe if Game 5's at Wrigley, we win the series. And in chats with my Brewer fans, my Brewer fans friends, they agree with me. And they agree on that notion. They said home field was huge. Us coming back to Milwaukee was tremendous. Call it Wrigley North, call it whatever. Brewer fans have been much better about showing up for their team. And that played evidence Saturday night. The team fed off that emotion. They fed off that electricity of the crowd. And that's what makes playoff baseball so, so special. But again, what can the Cubs do to make sure that they're holding the division crown and get home field advantage for themselves next year? That is the real question, and that's what you need to think about. And that's why I'm not feeling so bad. We weren't supposed to beat the Brewers. They had the best record in baseball. They've been doing this. The Cubs, we're just getting rolling, I think. Kyle Tucker might not come back, but there are moves to be made. There are moves that this team can make to be better. And, next season they might get more development for Owen Casey. Just, a lot of different things this team can do in the offseason. And again, with the strike looming, there's going to be a lot of different moves the Cubs are going to make. And they might not make a big splash move again. But I just want to talk about how fun this was, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we started Cubs Daily in February. Shout out to Fan Arch for presenting me with this opportunity. I mean, you guys are the best. Like, the Cubs fans are the best, in my opinion. I know Brewer fans don't think that, or other fans don't think that. That's fine. But again, you guys show up all the time to Wrigley Field. It's always a good time. The stadium's always packed. The team feeds off of that. We had a really good home record, and there was a lot of fun moments. This season had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in that sense, right? We kind of saw this coming, and the way it finished, I'm not satisfied, but I'm okay. And winning professional championships is a progression. You don't just assemble teams and win the whole thing. You can sit there and be like, the Dodgers. No, the Dodgers have been building this. Okay? They have been building these moves over time to make this happen. And now they have a machine. The Brewers, regardless if they haven't won a title or not, they have a machine. The Blue Jays, they have a machine. The Mariners, they have a machine rolling, right? They've developed that pitching staff. They've developed Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez. That's just the way it goes, and the Cubs need to do that as well. PCA, he needs to learn. He had a fantastic 2025. There's a lot he needs to learn. He's a young kid. Totally understandable. It's going to happen. Matt Shaw, fantastic 2025 season. He had some ups and downs, but that's part of being a rookie, right? You go through the ups and downs, the lulls. You don't have a nice even trajectory. It's just not how baseball works. Cade Horton's going to win Rookie of the Year. We missed him desperately. We're going to get Justin Steele back next year. So there is a bright future ahead for this team. There's some decisions that need to be made, and you guys know we're going to break that all down here on Cubs Daily. So heading into this offseason, the offseason doesn't officially start until November. Pretty much how it's going to work is I'm going to give you guys content Monday through Friday. If something epic happens over a weekend, I'm hopping on. I'm talking about it. We'll discuss it. We're going to bring back a harder emphasis, comments on Fridays. So share your thoughts. I want to hear them. We're going to discuss them. They're going to probably be the basis of a lot of the videos. So, again, share your thoughts. This is your community, guys. It's not just me. I'm here to discuss all certain angles with you guys. Let me know who you want to see on this team. Do we want to go get Kyle Schwarber? I already know the answer to do we want to extend Kyle Tucker? Don't get me wrong. What's a player on another team that's a free agent you want to see maybe the Cubs go after? These are the questions we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about future free agents. We're going to talk about all that stuff. If I see a rumor, we're going to discuss it, the whole 9 yards. So I appreciate every single one of you guys who's on this journey with me. I hope you all have a fantastic Monday. It's sad 2025 has ended this way, but we'll be back in 2026. And for now, I bid you adieu.